Your one click on the subscribe button makes a huge difference. Thank you for your kind support.
In Final Destination Bloodlines, one of the most shocking moments comes when the seemingly established order of death's list is completely upended by a family secret. This twist not only changes who's next to die, but also deepens the emotional stakes of the story while highlighting the franchise's signature approach to fate and deception. The paternity revelation transforms our understanding of the kill order and creates one of the most memorable moments in the film. Early in the movie, we learn through Stephanie's research that death follows a specific pattern. After her grandmother, Iris, disrupted the Skyview Tower disaster in 1968, death began hunting down the survivors and eventually their descendants. The film establishes that death pursues victims in the order they would have died in the original disaster, moving through family bloodlines by age, oldest to youngest within each branch. Based on this understanding, Stephanie creates what she believes is an accurate death list. Uncle Howard, the oldest of Iris's children, would be first, followed by his children in order of age, Eric, then Julia, then Bobby. After Howard's family, death would come for Stephanie's mother, Darlene, then Stephanie herself, and finally her younger brother, Charlie. This pattern makes logical sense based on the established rules, and initially, events seem to confirm it. When Uncle Howard dies in a gruesome lawnmower accident during a family barbecue, it appears to validate Stephanie's theory. The death is classic Final Destination, a series of small coincidences leading to a shocking fatality. Howard steps on a piece of glass, loses his balance, and falls directly into the path of a running lawnmower. This follows the pattern exactly as Stephanie predicted, suggesting she's correctly identified the order. The first hint that something might be off comes when Eric's tattoo shop catches fire. According to Stephanie's list, Eric should be next to die after Howard. But surprisingly, Eric survives the blaze, protected by his leather jacket. This unexpected survival confuses both the characters and the audience. Has Stephanie misunderstood the pattern, or is something else at play? Before they can fully process this anomaly, tragedy strikes again. During an argument about Stephanie's death curse theory, Julia accidentally falls into a trash can that rolls into the street, where she's picked up by a garbage truck and crushed to death in its compactor. This shocking death is especially confusing because, according to Stephanie's list, Julia should have been third in line after Eric, not second. This apparent contradiction leads to one of the film's most significant revelations. As the family processes Julia's death, Aunt Brenda makes a devastating confession. Eric isn't actually Uncle Howard's biological son. His real father is Jerry Fenbury, a man Brenda had an affair with years ago. This bombshell explains why Eric survived when it wasn't actually his turn. He isn't part of Iris's bloodline at all. The paternity twist is brilliant on multiple levels. First, it functions as a classic horror movie reveal, upending the audience's expectations and increasing the tension. Second, it deepens the emotional complexity of the story by introducing realistic family drama into the supernatural plot. And third, it reinforces one of the franchise's central themes. Death is meticulous, and you can't cheat the system through misunderstanding or deception. Eric's reaction to learning about his true parentage adds another layer of emotional weight to the revelation. Jerry fucking Fenbury, he exclaims in shock, processing not only that Howard wasn't his biological father, but also that his entire identity has been built on a lie. In a film about death's predetermined design, this moment highlights how our understanding of ourselves can be just as vulnerable to sudden, life-changing revelations as our physical safety. With the paternity twist revealed, the true order of death's list becomes clear. Howard, oldest of Iris's children, was first, followed by Julia, his oldest biological child, then Bobby, his youngest child. After Howard's family, death would move on to Darlene, then Stephanie, and finally Charlie. Eric, not being blood-related to Iris, isn't on the list at all, a rare instance of someone being safer because they're not part of the family. This revised understanding creates a new urgency as Bobby realizes he's now next on death's list. The panic this causes leads to one of the film's most intense sequences, as Eric and Bobby try to cheat death through a controlled death and resuscitation at the hospital. Their plan goes horribly wrong, resulting in both their deaths. Eric is killed when an MRI machine activates and rips out his piercings, while Bobby is impaled through the head by a vending machine spring. Interestingly, Eric's death, despite not being on death's list, occurs during their attempt to save Bobby. This suggests that while Eric wasn't targeted by Death's design, interfering with Death's plan put him in harm's way. A recurring theme in the franchise where those who try to help others often end up victims themselves. The paternity twist in Final Destination Bloodlines serves several important narrative functions beyond just shocking the audience. It reinforces the franchise's consistent message that death is meticulous, all-knowing, and impossible to trick. While the characters might be confused about the order, death never is. It always knows exactly who should die next based on bloodlines that can't be obscured by family secrets or social relationships. This revelation also challenges our understanding of identity and fate. Throughout the film, Eric has believed himself to be part of Howard's family and therefore on Death's list. The discovery that he isn't biologically Howard's son temporarily places him outside Death's design. A rare instance of good news in a Final Destination film. Yet, ironically, this knowledge comes too late to save him, as his attempt to help Bobby leads to his own demise. The twist adds emotional depth by connecting the supernatural threat to very human drama. Family secrets, infidelity, and questions of identity are universal themes that ground the film's more fantastic elements. When Brenda confesses, "Your father and I were having problems," we see how ordinary human mistakes can have extraordinary consequences generations later when supernatural forces become involved. From a filmmaking perspective, the paternity twist is cleverly foreshadowed. Attentive viewers might notice subtle differences in how Eric is treated compared to Julia and Bobby, or the physical dissimilarities between Eric and Howard. These subtle hints make the revelation satisfying rather than arbitrary, rewarding observant audience members while still providing a genuinely surprising moment. The revelation also creates a moral complexity around Brenda's character. Her long-kept secret indirectly contributed to Julia's death, as the family's misunderstanding of the death order meant they were focused on protecting the wrong person. This raises questions about responsibility. Would Julia still be alive if Brenda had been honest years ago? The film doesn't explicitly place blame, but the implication hangs in the air during the painful confession scene. For the franchise as a whole, the paternity twist in Bloodlines represents an evolution in storytelling. Earlier Final Destination films typically focused on figuring out the death order based on seating arrangements or positions during the initial premonition. Bloodlines complicates this formula by introducing biological connections that aren't immediately obvious, creating a mystery that can't be solved simply by reviewing the premonition. The twist also serves the film's generational theme. While previous Final Destination movies dealt with immediate survivors of a disaster, Bloodlines extends death's design across decades and multiple generations. The paternity revelation emphasizes how the past continues to influence the present, with Brenda's decades-old affair having deadly consequences for her children years later. This connects to the film's broader exploration of family legacy and the ways parents' actions affect their children's fates. After the paternity twist is revealed, the dynamic between the surviving family members shifts dramatically. Bobby, now understanding he's next on death's list, becomes increasingly desperate, eventually agreeing to Eric's dangerous plan to die and be resuscitated. Darlene, who had previously dismissed Stephanie's concerns, begins to take her daughter's warnings seriously once she realizes the pattern correctly predicted Julia's death. And Stephanie herself gains confidence in her ability to understand death's design, despite her initial mistake in the order. The revelation creates a powerful dramatic irony where the audience knows more than some of the characters. We understand the true order while watching Bobby panic and Eric try to help him, creating tension as we anticipate Death's next move with greater accuracy than the characters themselves. This dramatic irony is a hallmark of effective horror storytelling, and the paternity twist maximizes this effect. For fans of the franchise, the paternity twist represents one of Final Destination Bloodlines' most significant contributions to the series' mythology. It establishes that death design follows genetic bloodlines rather than social or legal family structures, suggesting a biological component to fate that hadn't been explicitly explored in previous films. This adds a new dimension to how we understand death's methods and rules. The twist also allows the film to explore the complicated dynamics of blended and non-biological families. Despite learning he isn't Howard's biological son, Eric still refers to Bobby as his brother and risks his life trying to save him. This suggests that while death may operate based on strict biological connections, human relationships are more complex and can transcend these boundaries, even if they can't ultimately change death's design. In the end, the paternity twist in Final Destination Bloodlines serves as a perfect example of how the franchise continues to find fresh ways to explore its central premise. By introducing family secrets and biological revelations into the equation, the film adds new layers of complexity to death's design while creating genuinely surprising moments that keep audiences guessing about who will die next and why.